Good evening, everybody. My name is Todd Bright. Welcome to All in Gestures feedback and Q&A session, Redline Live. Anyway, hope you guys are doing good. Thanks for coming in. Hey, guess what? We're on Instagram. What's up, Instagram? And we are also on YouTube. So if you guys have any questions tonight, we're doing feedback of our gesture drawing artists from our Saturday workshop. But it's also a Q&A for everybody. So yeah. Anyway, checking that member chat. Matt and Jenny, Luke, what's up, you guys? Thanks for jumping in. We're going to look at some drawings, guys, so let's just do this thing. And my name is Todd Bright. I'm an animator and illustrator. I work for Imagineering right now, doing concept art and stuff like that, but have an animation background. I believe that gesture drawings are an amazing foundation for illustration, animation, storyboarding, all of that stuff. And so yeah, we've been having our workshop for the last 5 years and on Saturdays. So you can come draw with us anytime. Just go to my bio. Yo. Anyway, who's here? What's up there, Instagram? I see some people in there. Matt the Knife. Yeah, man. I see you over there. Erica Bay, I see you over there on YouTube. Awesome. Well, welcome in. Let's do this thing. All right. Let's just get into our drawings, shall we? And our first person. All right. Look at some stuff. So, with our theme last week, I'll just show you a quick snapshot. This was our wonderful model, Mr. Matt. Check him out. We did a butcher theme last week. And in September, we did blue-collar worker themes all month. So that was really fun. And this drawing right here, this is by one of our students. And thank you, Erica, for submitting your work this week. I just thought this was fantastical. This was such an amazing pose by our model. And what was cool was just, this is one of those poses that I would push really hard and try to make it sure it looks like it was something heavy, but the model did such a great job. It was hard to push it any further. Let's see here. Let's see here. There it is. So looking at this, I think it looks pretty good, Erica. I might have dropped his shoulder a little bit down to get him connected to that surface. For those of you who weren't in the workshop, he was leaning up against a table here and catching his weight. Yeah. Matt, I was wondering if were you sore after all those amazing poses? So Matt is over in our member chat at All in Gesture, and he is also an accomplished artist and one of our members. And sometimes him and his wife come in and do some really great character modeling for us. Anyway, we're gonna get to some of your drawings too, Mr. Matt. Anyway, checking that chat. Ho ho hi, bye vivu. What's up? I see you over there on Instagram. Okay, here we go. So yeah, I might have dropped that shoulder just a little bit. Probably a choice though. You could choose to make the table a little higher or a little lower. That's up to you as an artist, right? So let's see. But yeah, I think all the good stuff working. We were talking a little bit in the workshop about trying to make a simple statement. Let's see if I could focus on some of that tonight. Yeah, pushing some shapes. He's drawing through. Looks like you have a whole animal on there. That's cool. I love it. But yeah, I think mainly dropping that shoulder. I bent that leg a little bit just to catch his weight because everything's kind of going down, so I feel like it'll be compressing downward, but I don't know. It's kind of one of those things. And I might have drawn through that arm. I know it was buried behind the slab of meat that he was carrying, but still might have done that just to track it. It's always good to draw through, right? Because that helps keep your pieces and parts together. So if you just draw like that dress thing we talk about sometimes, if you just draw a dress and there's legs sticking out of it, things may not feel like they're lining up where they're originating from, like in this case, a shoulder. So all that to say, it's a good practice just to indicate. You don't have to go crazy, obviously. But anyway, all that to say, I really like the pose, though. I think you got all that weight and energy down really well. This is one where he was, for those of you who weren't in the workshop, he's brushing off the dirt off of the thing there. So yeah. So this one, I could see that I wonder if I could zoom in a little bit. I could see that you have that shifty look. We talked about this butcher had dropped a piece of meat on the floor and he was picking it up in this pose and brushing off the dirt. So that's kind of what was going on. And I could see that you did like this side eye kind of look. Is anybody looking at me? But because that's a detail, I felt like what I had done in the class, I don't have that drawing up. I had turned his whole head, just to make it really read like he's like, nothing to see here, and it's like figuring out what we can do to kind of push that idea of looking at Matt's pose. he kind of almost had like a what do you call that? Like a groundhog, kind of a, you know, peeking out like, is anybody looking? You know, it's almost like the shoulders are dropped. He's kind of like, hey. So, and that kind of made a pretty humorous thing. So if I were to keep that same head angle you did, I know in mine I turned the head the other way just to push the idea, but maybe dropping the shoulders, kind of like Matt had it. It's just kind of like, I think it's pretty funny, right? I do like how you cleared his hand though, of his, you made a nice silhouette. That was good, Erica. Really nice. I'm gonna turn this down a little bit more. Kind of had that cap on. But yeah, I think dropping the shoulders was kind of a humorous thing. So all that to say, what I'm trying to, I think what I'm starting to figure out what I'm trying to say here is really considering, like I like your expression with the eyeball, but body language, you know, like pushing that body language to get the whole body involved. There's something that happens when we're being mischievous, right? Like kind of like, you know, there's like a whole thing going on. In this case, he's kind of did like this groundhog kind of a thing, or, you know, seeing if the coast is clear. And it's like literally think of that stuff. It's like, oh, groundhogs do that. How can I, you know, give that look, you know? There's like that one meme that, I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. Old school. And then he had his meat down here holding his steak. So anyway, all that to say, I've drawn two levels here. That's funny. Anyway, but yeah, it's like giving him a little bit more neck and kind of pushing that I'm up to no good feeling. Okay? Anyway, that's all. But really strong stuff, Erica. I could see the learning curve. Really awesome. So keep going. Thank you for submitting. All right. Who's over here? Okay. Checking that chat over there on Instagram. Instagram, welcome in if you are just joining us. We are doing Q&A tonight about gesture drawing, illustration, animation stuff. Looking at all our student work tonight. That's what this is. Kind of go over it. Luke, I really like this one. Really clear. Clear, clear, clear. Very good. We had really boxy clothes on, right? Because he's a butcher and he had pretty loose clothing on, things like that. I think things get a little bit boxy where we could start to, and I know this is gesture, right? We want to make that simple statement and all those good things, but really considering some stuff here, the anatomy going on underneath here. So we got our shoulder, bicep, we got forearm. I like that hand you did. That was good. You drew through that hand. I don't know if you guys saw it, but Luke did a really nice animation test you posted this week. Saw that thing. Looked good. All right. Yeah. I love how you stuck his chest out. I think that was a really nice solution. Made this pose a lot stronger. No offense, Matt. But yeah, it did. It helped push the pose a little bit. Yeah, even with these baggy pants and blocky pants, it's like being aware of those anatomy under there, right? And then the pant legs will wrap around that anatomy, you know. So just practice that a little bit more. You know, we're thinking all the way through, not thinking about contour only. Okay. In fact, our brains should be thinking in form, even though we're drawing edges and all that kind of stuff. Does that make sense? So yeah, just fixing that arm a little bit. But other than that, I thought you did a nice, strong representation of that pose. Now, you had a question about the head poking out of this particular pose and how to handle it. And I was looking at it, and I think you did a pretty good job, man. So see if we could break it down a little bit just to see if I could decipher something here that we could talk about. I think you got a pretty good angle of the head, you know. If you want to push it a little further out to clear the silhouette of the body, you know, you have that freedom, right, as an artist to move things around and just to, and maybe use that nose and that, you know, to, oh, I have a pointy nose, right? You could point to your subject, right? In this case, he's pouring this box of, and those of you who are just joining in, he was pouring a box of birdseed. So welcome in there from Instagram. We're doing a Q&A session tonight and feedback of some gesture drawing. But yeah, just really considering that form, man, okay? You know, this is the head shape, and you have that angle that you're looking for, kind of flesh that out. You know, and it's really practicing drawing heads at different angles, you know, letting those basic shapes really help you. Considering the planes of the face, you know, like front, side, that kind of thing, to really help you when you're getting into some crazy angles, you know, and considering how the ears are going to land, you know, as they wrap around the head They're still going to be at that eye level. The top of the ear is generally at the eye level, and so that's not really going to change if you follow around. If you follow that line, that construction line of that eye level, and you're turning it on a sphere, that's still going to relate to that. So make sure all those pieces and parts are somewhat relating, okay? And I know he had a funky hat. I'm kind of doing this off screen here, so you probably can't see it on Instagram. All right, and you can go to YouTube. There you go. But yeah, maybe just move it around a little. I thought this arm was nice and rhythmy. Maybe get a little bit more structure. I think you were indicating some nice shoulder here. That was good. So yeah, overall, I think it was pretty strong. But yeah, move things around a little bit and consider that construction. See the difference? A little bit. Okay. Yeah. Keep going, brother. All right. Moving on. What do we got here? We got this pose. Let's see. Oh, this is the pose where he dropped a steak and was wondering if anybody saw him. Now, following that pose a little bit, he had dropped a steak. It's at his feet, and it looks like you moved yours around a little bit. But according to Matt's pose, it's almost like he's leaning forward, like, whoa, right? And I think we can, if you look at that second camera angle, let's check it out. If you look at that second camera angle, you can see how lean forward he is, right? So I wonder if we mess with it a little bit. I'll just do a quick scribble here just to get that illusion of that lean forward. I'm gonna drop that steak down here. He's got his apron like you have it. And he's like, I dropped the steak, right? And even that back arm is somewhat, he's kind of like putting some weight, like looking around the corner, like, right? That kind of a thing. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, something like that. And again, it's getting into the heart of the matter, right? It's really considering what is the model thinking? What are they doing? You know, could we have pushed it even more? You know, almost reversed that second camera angle? Could we have done something a little bit like, oh my goodness gracious, now I've done it. Now I'm busted. You know, like really like, like how would you, you know? This is like the major sin of a butcher, right? Is to drop the steak. No. And maybe this arm is bent down here, and he's kind of coming around here. Did anybody see me? You know, this is the table, fell off the table, right? And the steak is here. So it's like really thinking of that simple statement. And a buddy of mine at work, we were trying to figure out a pose this week, and it was kind of that thing, like, he did this really wonderful quick gesture of a character when we were talking about it, and really like getting into that attitude of this thing. And it was really fun just to collaborate like that together, and it's such a good, beautiful drawing that he did. So all that to say, we, you know, pushing that pose and really asking those questions, you know, might do something like that. So yeah, I like that even better than the first one I did here. So that was kind of tame there. That's a little bit more readable. That's supposed to be his arm, you know, and I dropped that arm down here to let this be clear, right? All right. Anyway, moving on. Nice, Mr. Luke. Mr. Matt. There we go. I thought this was nice and strong. Really nice. This is our fearless butcher putting on his apron. And for those of you who are joining in from YouTube and Instagram, shout out any questions you might have tonight. But we are going over one of our gesture drawings from a butcher theme, which is what we did last week. And so we have a great model, and this is our model right here. His drawings, actually. Is that weird drawing yourself, Matt? A little bit. Anyway, yeah, I was just thinking drop that shoulder a little bit. I think shoulder up is sometimes good, but I would go all the way or not. Just be mindful of that anatomy. But other than that, I thought you got a really nice, strong line of action there, man. So, oh, yeah. This was that chicken fight we had. That was so great. I know this is super cartoony. I love that face. I think I need to move it here. Hang on one second. Shrink it down there a little bit. There it is. Fighting that chicken. Very good. Those of you who are just jumping in from Instagram and YouTube, welcome. We are going over some drawings and just doing some feedback. And if you guys have any Q&A, shout it out, man. Okay, so this one, I think that face you did is great. What a cool cartoony face. But I feel like we can do a little bit. Let's see. I love how you took some liberties here. Really good. I feel like though, even though the cartoony style, let's see, we can work on the proportions just a tad. Okay, I'm gonna move him up a little bit here because I want to drop him down. I don't want to, I love that face you did. That's super fun, right? I'm gonna keep that, but I might consider checking those proportions And I know you're doing the cartoony vibe, but I feel like we got a little short on those proportions. I liked how you decided to kind of swing him around. A little twist there. That's really cool. So let's keep that in there. I'm just going to do a quick doodle here and then we'll move on. So I think those proportions are a little bit more in line with our guy. There's definitely a time for cartoony, but I feel like some of the anatomy was missing in his torso. So like, you know, considering that rib cage, things like that. The head you did was fantastic. Really great. But yeah, that's all. Just considering those proportions a bit, okay? This guy, same thing. He got a little thick and stuff, but I think it was a really strong drawing overall. And this guy, same kind of a thing. Very cartoony, but what's really cool about it, Matt, it's very clear. It's like, which is really the main thing. It's like we're communicating, right? So we got to show communication to our audience, and I feel like this pose really kind of, you did that well. But again, I know you're doing more of a caricature cartoony vibe, which is totally cool. Let's see here. So I'm not sure what to do with the proportions here because it's basically there, but maybe just adding a few. This is more of a wedge shape with this arm here, like this. Instead of things getting too parallel, here I'll show you. This is a little parallel, right? It's like consider a bit more of a wedge kind of a shape, so you get that taper. Okay, and then he has this big jacket on or whatever. Yeah, cool. But yeah, anyway, but very cool, man. Very nice. Moving on, and our last artist up for this evening is Mr. Corey. Nice, man. Got a lot of good movement going on in your work. Let's see. Yeah, let's move that around this a little bit. Hang on. This is that one where he's putting on his apron. Let's see here. It's gonna move him around a little bit. Here we go. All right. Hey, Instagram, welcome in. My name is Todd Bright. Doing All in Gesture, which is our workshop on Saturdays. We're checking work tonight. This is our feedback session. So welcome in. And it's also a Q&A for everybody. So if you have a question about gesture drawing, animation, a Disney background, and a Disney foreground, that makes sense. All right, so let's see here. Just getting a little simpler with the shapes, but I think you got the movement pretty well. I feel like we could have futzed with that ground plane just a little bit. Just being, you know, you don't have to always draw a ground plane grid or something, but it helps to just be mindful of your environment, and it'll help lay out some things when it gets down to it, okay? Matt was really pushing hard with these poses to help us out. That's what was so nice, you know, having an artist do the poses. Like he understands what a benefit that is to everybody, okay? So it's a treat having him and Jennifer, and we have actors come in to our workshop. But yeah, just simplifying some of these shapes, okay? It gets a little jumbled up, and I feel like being aware, like the rib cages here, you know, he's got a big puffy jacket, like that overcoat, right? I think we called it that. Back there, and he has this apron sitting on top of that surface. So there's a lot going on. I could see how it could be a little overwhelming. But I think making those shapes a little bit bigger can help clarify. Okay, so ground plane shapes, that kind of a thing. I'm going to move this over here. Forgot to do that tonight. We didn't do a lot of that. There we go. And let's see. This one. See, this is the bird, him luring the bird. It's like, here, chicken. So let's work on that one. I gotta get rid of that. Sorry, pushing a few buttons over here. There we go. Awesome. Okay, here we go. All right, checking that chat. Welcome in over there. Instagram, I see you. Okay, you guys have any questions, let me know. Okay, all right, Corey. With this one, I think we're going to work a little bit on the torso here, okay? Just some structure stuff. Again, we have this idea of, see, this leg's in the front, okay? Cool. You're welcome. I saw your comment over there, Corey. And welcome in. Glad you're with us live, man. Thank you. I like the banter. It's good. But just, I can see you did that torso being under there, but I'm going to mess with it a little bit. There's a lot of, I'm going to draw over yours real quick. It's like curve, 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 right? And I want to mess with it. I want to straighten a few things out. I think I'll keep the curve of the back though, since he's bending over. Pretty extreme. That little hat on, and he's hiding his knife behind his back there. Very cool. Let's see what else is going on back here. So, okay, so chest under there, rib cage, hips, they're under there, right? And then your legs. And that's challenge. I get it with all this baggy stuff, man. I get it. But yeah, really considering simplifying those things and just watch those proportions, but simplifying those poses. And I know we could all stand to do that a little bit. And even using some of these wonderful shapes, you know, I think with a costume like this to give that simple statement, right, that we're searching for. It's trying to figure out how to communicate clearly. Like, you know, in animation, it's like, oh, well, you might think like, oh, I have so many poses, you know, to work with to communicate this acting or this performance. And some of them matter, some of them don't. And it's like, that's just not true. They all matter, you know, and because one will affect the other. One body language will communicate maybe a part of a phrase if you're doing dialogue and things like that. And, you know, and then there could be a buildup of entertainment to lead to the big explosion, you know. And so all of these poses are storytelling poses, right? And so it's like, use what you got, you know. Sometimes it's like you got this beautiful overcoat shape, you know, and then the apron's on top of that, and it's like, use that thing. You can caricature it. There's a lot going on there, so that might be clear as mud, but all that to say, yeah, watch those proportions a bit, oof, right? That kind of thing. But one thing I do like is the movement happening in your work, and you have that really nice bend, you know, and I think you're really searching for that, which is really good. So yeah, dude, keep it going. Keep it going, man. Thank you for submitting your stuff. I really like that bottom right one there. That was really good. Yep. So anyway, all that to say, keep it going. Yeah, you guys are awesome. We're gonna end it a little early tonight. Oh wait, here we go. Hold on a second. Oh, cool. I just had a comment from Instagram. You've been focusing on, and this is the cereal artist. Cool. And not the crunchy cereal, but the other one. I've been really focusing on gesture and learning different techniques. You've been a great help. Awesome. Thanks for saying so. Yeah, man. All right. Very good. Well, thanks for joining in. All right. Well, that's it, guys. That was easy tonight. And what's coming up this week? So what's coming up this week? We have some good stuff happening. We're starting a new month. We're creeping up on our 5-year anniversary, which is in October. And so the themes this month in September are going to be our member choice themes. So it's going to be a bunch of random stuff each week in September. And yeah, and we have a model, but we're still settling on the theme this week, so I can't tell you what it's going to be. You just have to come on Saturday and join us. So, but it's going to be Members' Choice Month, and as we gear up to October to celebrate 5 years and our members, and it's going to be really fun. So anyway, all that to say, live model this weekend. Be there. That's all I got to say. You guys have a great night. Thanks for your time tonight, jumping in and watching, and I hope that it was a good time, all those things. But I'm going to push buttons here again. You guys have a great rest of your week.